After Jade Cargill attack accusation, WWE makes Liv Morgan announcement before SmackDown. Liv Morgan wants to make it to WrestleMania, but before she can do that, she has to overcome other challenges, especially the accusations that she was behind attacking Jade Cargill. Now, she's set for a huge challenge on WWE Smackdown. Ahead of this week's show, Nick Aldis announced the matches fans can expect from the night. He discussed how Jimmy Uso would face Drew McCaine, as previously scheduled, and even booked a six-man tag team match between the tense team of Solo Sikoa, Yaqoub Fato, and Tama Tonga, and the very unusual team of rivals Cody Rhodes, Damian Priest, and Braun Strowman. However, he also booked another match for Liv Morgan, where she will face Naomi, one of her accusers. Two huge matchups that I am pleased to announce right now. The first one is Naomi going one-on-one with Liv Morgan. Very excited about that. And secondly, we got a six-man tag team match of Tama Tonga, Yaqoub Fato, and Solo Sikoa. They will be taking on the trio of Braun Strowman, Damian Priest, and the WWE Champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. In addition to the existing matches that are already announced, which are Jimmy Uso one-on-one with Drew McCaine. And the tag team titles are on the line. Pretty deadly challenging DIY. After Nick Aldis aired previously unseen footage of Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez walking away from Jade Cargill while the star was being loaded in an ambulance, Bianca Biller and Naomi asserted that they were Jade Cargill's real attackers. With Liv Morgan facing Naomi, she will face a huge challenge, as she will want to prove her innocence, something that no one has believed her about so far. We just loved each other. WWE star Liv Morgan opens up about hurtful breakup. Liv Morgan recently opened up about her breakup with her former WWE partners. She claimed it left her devastated. After spending nearly 3 years in NXT, the former Women's World Champion debuted on the main roster as a member of the Riott Squad, alongside Ruby Soho, FKA RUBY RIOTT, and Valhalla, FKA Sarah Logan. The group remained together for 2 years before splitting in 2019 when Morgan moved to SmackDown while her partners remained on Raw. When the 30-year-old later returned to Raw, she had a brief feud with Soho before they reconciled and reformed the Riott Squad in 2020. Nevertheless, they disbanded again about a year later when Soho was released from her contract. In a recent interview with No Contest Wrestling, Morgan revealed that she was devastated when she learned that WWE was breaking up the Riott Squad. She pointed out that she and her former partners loved each other and felt they still had so much to do together. When I found out we were going to be separated, the Riott Squad, we were obviously devastated, I think, for a lot of reasons. One, when we got together, we kind of just were thrown together as like makeshift group, and I didn't necessarily have like personal relationships with Ruby or Sarah, but we bonded and got along so well, and they just became sisters to me, to this day. And so it was so sudden, and there was no inkling of it happening. And I feel like we felt like we had so much to do as partners, and we just loved each other, obviously, and we enjoyed our time together, and we learned and grew so much together, she said. Liv Morgan is now a member of another WWE faction. Following her release in 2021, Ruby Soho joined AEW. Although Valhalla was also let go in 2020, she returned to WWE 2 years later. The former Riott Squad member is currently on maternity leave. Meanwhile, Liv Morgan is now one of the top female WWE superstars on the main roster. Last year, the former Women's World Champion joined the Judgment Day. After losing the title to Rhea Ripley earlier this year, the 30-year-old will compete in the Women's Elimination Chamber match for a shot at the Erodicator Championship at WrestleMania 41. It would be interesting to see if the Judgment Day member will come out victorious at the Elimination Chamber in Toronto. Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan to replace Finn Balor with two-time champion, exploring potential new member in the Judgment Day. Finn Balor is going through a rough patch in his career right now. Despite having a huge opportunity to qualify for the men's Elimination Chamber match, he ended up suffering yet another loss to Seth Rollins this week on Raw. Given his recent setbacks, Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan might be plotting to replace the Prince in the Judgment Day with a two-time champion. WWE is 2 weeks from the Elimination Chamber, with the final 2 spots in the Chamber match up for grabs on Monday Night Raw. Finn Balor vs Seth Rollins is the blockbuster main event, with Roxanne Perez graduating from NXT to face Raquel Rodriguez for a final spot in the Women's Elimination Chamber. There's also an Intercontinental Championship #1 contenders match between Dak. Liv Morgan WWE injury update following RW between the two, Tiffany and Rhea. I think I'd rather see Rhea because she and Rhea had such an incredible match 2 years ago. They haven't had a match like that in women's division that I've seen on TV anywhere. Rhea won the match, but it was the best match on the show. It was incredible. Following a bloody match on WWE Monday Night Raw, a new report has revealed an injury update on Liv Morgan. On the February 10th edition of WWE Raw, Damage CTRL's Io Sky and Dakota Kai defeated Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez of the Judgment Day. During the course of the bout, Morgan suffered an apparent injury where she came up bleeding after a knee from Sky. Later in the program, Morgan was sporting a big bruise on her face during a backstage segment after the tag team bout. Fightful Select, subscription required, provided an update, noting that word backstage was Liv Morgan appeared to be okay, but may need stitches. The report reads, Liv Morgan got busted open by a knee, but word backstage was that she appeared to be okay, but may need stitches. Morgan will face Bianca Belair, Bayley, and 3 other participants in the Women's Elimination Chamber match at the titular event on March 1st. Kairi Sane sends a message to Liv Morgan. WWE star shares brutal fallout of serious injury. WWE superstar Kairi Sane recently took to social media to send a message to former Women's World Champion Liv Morgan. The Judgment Day star suffered a brutal injury on this week's Monday Night Raw during the latest episode of the Red Brand. Liv Morgan teamed up with Raquel Rodriguez to face Damage CTRL's Io Sky and Dakota Kai. All of the women involved in the bout put on an amazing display, but the match ultimately ended in Sky and Kai's favor. However, during the bout, Morgan suffered a brutal injury near her eye and started bleeding heavily. Following the show, the Judgment Day star had to get several stitches to close up her wound. She recently took to X/Twitter to show off her injury. This post caught Kairi Sane's attention, and she uploaded a photo of a similar eye injury that she had suffered in September last year while competing against Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. The Damage Control member also sent a message to Morgan with several emojis. Former WWE writer reacted to Liv Morgan's brutal injury on Raw. During a recent edition of Sportskeeda Wrestling's Legion of Raw, former WWE writer Vince Russo reacted to Liv Morgan's brutal eye injury, saying that he believed she was extremely tough for a person of her stature. Did you see that nasty gash on Liv Morgan's eye, man? Wow, she is tough. I gotta give you that, man. That was a nasty gash on her eye. Did you see how that happened, Chris? I wasn't watching closely enough. I mean, she had like a boxer's cut. I mean, wow. She is tough, man. Liv Morgan is tough for a girl her size, and that was nasty. Liv Morgan has qualified for this year's Women's Elimination Chamber match. It will be interesting to see what WWE has planned for the Judgment Day star's future. Liv Morgan smiles through the pain after suffering a nasty cut on WWE Raw. It was a rough night for Liv Morgan Monday on Raw, who suffered both insult and injury. In a tag team match pitting her and Raquel Rodriguez against Io Sky and Dakota Kai of Damage Control, Morgan was pinned by Sky. But before that, she suffered a gnarly cut just over her right eye during the final minutes of the match. Rodriguez and Morgan paired up for some unique tandem offense. Rodriguez scooped Morgan up as if she was going to powerbomb her. Instead, she used Morgan as a weapon, swinging her body into the ribs of Sky, then Kai. Morgan's injury appeared to occur right after she collided with Sky. However, she started holding her face after hitting Dakota later. After Morgan blasted Kai with Oblivion, Sky plowed through her with a running knee lift. That incapacitated Morgan for several moments, who was briefly checked on by the referee. Ultimately,